ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this evening's Cabinet meeting. We do have speakers on every item tonight, so I'm going to take the agenda in the order it is. First item on the agenda is the evacuation procedure, and everyone in the room does know that, so I shan't be reading that out. Apologies for absence, we are all here. Item 3, declarations of interest. Can I just draw attention to the declarations in regard to myself that are printed on the sheet relating to my husband's employment with Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council and SLN, for which I have dispensation unless it relates to his particular contract and employment. I think that's correct, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Item 4 is to confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 15th of January. Is somebody happy to agree those?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is that seconded?
Yeah.
Are we all happy with that?
Yeah.
Excellent. I'll just sign that over there. Thank you. We then move to public consultation. As I say, I have people wishing to speak on all items. Councillor Condacor and Evans on item 6, Councillors Condacor, Evans and Hancock's on item 7, Councillor Condacor on item 8A, item 8B, Councillor Condacor and Councillor Evans, and on item 11, Councillor Condacor. So I will take them in the order they're actually written on the agenda. So item 6 is the quarterly review of the strategic performance report, which is there for information. Any comments people may have. It's actually the second agenda, it's the addendum that was sent out at a later date. Anything officers wish to add to this report or draw our particular attention to?
Just draw your attention to page Appendix A of the report I've got actually, which is a summary of the positive aspects and the areas of improvement. So in terms of the positive aspects of sundry debt collection and our processing of new benefit claims is still doing very well, and our percentage of waste recycled is also above our target. In terms of areas for improvement, we have been forecasting most of the year potential adverse variance on the general fund, which is continuing. And we do continue to have sickness absence above where we would ideally like it to be, and the management team are working with directors and other senior managers on that.
Thank you. Any member? Oh, sorry, I have a public speaker. Sorry, Councillor Condacor. I nearly forgot you then. Would you like to approach the table?
Thank you. I've now approached the table. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on this. Unusually, it's actually the housing revenue account I'm particularly interested in at the moment, because we have this around £500,000 spending pressure from having security guards in at night for health and safety reasons. A couple of years ago we got rid of the wardens, and some of that saving has been now lost because we need to actually staff up the accommodation at sheltered housing. Mostly, I understand, because of the risks of people who cannot evacuate themselves being in there, and these security guards would obviously have a list of the people who need help and obviously keep monitoring the situation. Apparently there's some briefing notes for residents, whatever, which I still haven't had a copy from, in spite of enthusiastic Dawn for it. But I think it's an area we do need to look at, because health and safety, we've had a change and an emergency procedure put in. We need to know whether that's long-term or short-term, whether we've got a plan to actually then change how we work the sheltered or ex-wardened housing. The other areas I wanted to mention, we built a scooter store at Cleaver Gardens that's never been used, which has been a massive waste of money. And also on the brighter side, I noticed in Appendix B, we are actually looking at securing an anchor tenant for the Abbey Street site as part of transforming Nuneaton. So we've looked at cinema or something similar. It's been negotiated, and it would be useful if members had a bit of an update on where that's going. So I know you've got the town centre board meeting now, so various people from around the town get read things, but I don't think elected members are getting kept up to date on how that's going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any points of clarification?
Yeah.
Councillor Michael?
Points of clarification again. We did not withdraw the wardens. It was Warwickshire County Council that withdrew the wardens. I have told you this before, Councillor Condacall, but you seem to ignore the fact that it was Warwickshire County Council that withdrew the wardens. We are spending money on security guards, and safety is our main priority. Yeah. And so I will stick up for that every day of the week. The other one is your scooter housing at Cleaver Gardens. It's there. If people want it, if your residents at Cleaver Gardens want it, it's there to use. So as soon as they come forward, they can use it.
In response
That's
to
it, thank you.
clarification, I did
That
ask
was
for...
clarification. I just added more clarification. Clarification was we didn't withdraw the wardens. The scooter housing is there. That is it.
I asked for a
Clarification done.
briefing note, Chris, and that's what I haven't yet
No,
had.
I asked for clarification. I've just asked for clarification. Get the clarification. That's it.
Can I thank you, Councillor Condacall? What I will ask for is that the letter that was circulated to residents actually be circulated to elected members. I think that is our usual process with regard to such matters.
Thank you very much.
And I think officers have actually taken that on board. So hopefully that will resolve that particular matter. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Just one thing I want to say on this with regards to Appendix A, the Strategic Performance Report Executive Summary, on the positive aspects. The percentage of waste recycled and composted is 36.8% against a profile target of 34.58% for November. Fantastic that we're meeting that target, but in light of the fact that we have recently declared a climate emergency, I do think it's right that we actually increase that target a lot more, so that we are ensuring that we're recycling and composting more than what we do at the moment. At the last internal overview and scrutiny panel, the members on that panel received a briefing from the head of waste, or head of refuse, and we were given a league table about authorities and where they stand when it comes to recycling and composting. And we were sort of halfway down that table, so we're not the worst when it comes to recycling, but we're not the best. But I do think that we could potentially raise that target more, I think, in light of the fact that we have declared climate emergency, and rightfully so. That's what I want to say.
Okay. Councillor Evans, can I just ask, you do sit on the Climate Change Working Party that actually will be making recommendations in this regard, don't you?
Absolutely, and I look forward to making those recommendations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other points of clarification?
No, Chair.
Okay, the report is here. Is there any comment from elected members? No, I think we will certainly make sure that the letter is sent to elected members that went to residents. Okay, we're happy to note that then. We then move on to the next report, back to the main agenda on page 15, and this is Johnson Road, Bedworth. Can I ask Councillor Lloyd to introduce this report, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an exciting programme, this is actually. I was first approached, I think, back end of 2017, probably 2018, officers were approached with an aid, but it's about 2017 by Bedworth Eagles. And I've got to be honest, I didn't think at first it was going to come off, but they put some exciting plans through, and we moved with it, officers worked with them, and we ended up with a mixed development where you've got a number of houses being built, plus land being made available for Bedworth Eagles to build a clubhouse on, and areas opposite on HRA land being made available for car parking. So it worked quite nicely both ways. The money from the development would enable us to pool that money so we can use it either for the new Bedworth swimming baths, or transforming Nuneaton, transforming Bedworth, or the vision for Bedworth. So it could go into a capital spend for that. So it's a way of realising our assets, selling those assets, so you get community use out of it, and get some coppers back into the bank, so we can move forward with projects like Bedworth Swimming Pool. So I'm very happy to actually move this, and I'd like to congratulate the Bedworth Eagles Committee for actually moving this forward, because I think they've done an excellent job and put a lot of work into it. So I'd like to move the recommendations into. Thank you.
Thank you. I note you've moved that. Can I just, on a technical point, recommendation 2 reads if a suitable offer is not received within X months. Have we got a figure there?
Yeah, on the actual report itself, the Rock 18, 2.2 reads that if it's not received within 9 months.
Okay. Thank you for that, Simone. I do have speakers on this. Councillor Condon.
Thank you very much. This is indeed an exciting opportunity, and on this report it says environmental implications none. Building 15 to 18 new homes, a new little sports pavilion. It's a great opportunity to do it in a sustainable way. Building code 6 homes that are zero carbon homes. Building a sports facility which is well insulated with cycle racks and all the modern amenities. But that does require us to actually say we're going to do this with no environmental impact. We're going to build to high standards. And with the massive amounts of money being spent by Warwick, potentially Rugby, on climate change, I think this is our first opportunity to show we're serious about taking climate change into consideration and get the benefits of building homes and a clubhouse with very, very low running costs. So I do hope the portfolio holder and the officers taking this forward will actually look at building to code 6, having cycle racks, solar panels on the roof, orientating the clubhouse so that it's got passive solar gain, i.e. the sun shines in to keep the building warm. And I do hope we build this to the high standards which would happen in areas that have declared a climate emergency. So it's a great opportunity. There's a lot of award-winning architecture going on now, and there's some council houses in London, I think, got an award, Sterling, or one of these prizes, for being eco-designed. You can actually, councils can build to these wonderful standards, and I do hope this is going to be an exemplar project rather than just bog standard building standards minimum. Because if it is building standards minimum, there is an environmental impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any points of clarification? Thank you very much. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Like Councillor Condicourt, I completely support the report in front of us this evening. I think it's a fantastic use of a brownfield site in Bedworth towards more housing, and especially for that part of the town. When I was reading the report, originally, obviously, the proposal is to, first of all, sell it off to the private sector. If that doesn't work, then we'll try and take on the land ourselves. At first, I thought it might have been a better idea if we actually do it ourselves because of the chronic shortage of social housing. But after speaking to Dawn Dawson about the complexities with the site, I'm happy with what's being proposed. With regards to paragraph 5.1 on the report, it states crucial funding towards the council's priorities to regenerate the town centre. Now, from what Councillor Lloyd has just said, we're possibly talking about town centres. I don't know if we can possibly have clarification if that is just for transforming Bedworth or not, because I don't think some of the residents in the area would be happy if that money could be put towards transforming Bedworth, but is actually put towards transforming Nuneaton. The other thing I wanted to say was I've been contacted by another football team in Bedworth, Bedworth Warriors, not the Eagles, Bedworth Warriors, about this. Whilst they do support what's being put in front of us tonight, they did want to say and put it on public record that there is a lack of play pitches in Bedworth. And I have spoken to Kevin Hollis about that, and he is working with them actively towards looking at getting them a permanent home. I think Heckley Fields has been mentioned, so that's really good. Just some technical questions with regards to the layout, which is on Appendix A. I note towards the east of the larger site there is a smaller plot. I don't know if that will be included within the overall project or not. I suspect not, but if that would be clarified, that would be appreciated. Also, the ownership of the clubhouse, will that be on a sort of 100-year lease to the Bedworth Eagles? If someone could explain that to me, that would be much appreciated. And that's what I've got to say. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you. Can I any points of clarification, Councillor Evans? Thank you for your comments. Councillor Hancock.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and move on equally with on a positive note. But it was interesting with Councillor Condicord about the environmental impact. These proposals will actually be positive on that land. It is in effect derelict land now, really. I can actually remember many years ago when you go up to that side embankment that it used to glow with the embers of the coal from the pit that used to be underneath there. But that's long gone after the land was reclaimed. So there's some things that we can move on with. Technically, Chair, the site lies within Poplar Ward, albeit that the boundary is in the middle of the road to Bede. And I would suggest, Chair, that probably this will have probably a larger, hopefully larger benefit to the residents within Bede Ward because of the Downing Crescent or that area there, which is, they don't always get the best of facilities. But again, with Bedworth Eagles has been around Bedworth for many, many, many years. And this latest initiative is just really another example of how we can help facilitate the people like this. We've had a similar thing with the Bedworth Sports Club, that was Bedworth Cricket Club. And we can't do it on our own. We don't have the funding available, but we've played key parts in being able to facilitate and get that funding into those clubs. And in the case of Bedworth Cricket Club, I've got to say it was largely driven by County Councillor Richard Chataway. And we had lots of doubts at the start of that, whether we'd be able to achieve everything, but it did. I'm sorry, I've just gone off this one, I'll come back to it. But again, we recognise in Bede and in Poplar the needs, particularly for health and well-being in our areas. And again, this will help with that. Now, although it's maybe based on this site, Bedworth Eagles traditionally over the years has had a wide catchment area of all the town and perhaps wider as well. So there'll be definite benefits to that. What's pleasing is, and Councillor Lloyd referred to it earlier, we've actually been working, it's 2 or 3 years since we first spoke to the people from Bedworth Eagles. And I think it's fantastic that this council continues to commit itself to helping things in this way. If I have a word of caution, Chair, it's about the siting and the calling of the clubhouse, because by the very nature of calling it the clubhouse, it may give concerns to some local residents that it might be suddenly something that's going on at night for a long period of time and maybe creating some disturbance. I don't think that will be the case, but all I'm saying, it's just a word of caution. So quickly to finish off, Chair, it didn't just used to be football up there, there was a cricket pitch as well. But this will be for football, it's bringing that site back into use. So I absolutely support the principle of this and it being implemented. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hancock. Any points of
Oh,
clarification?
sorry.
I don't think I'm seeing any. Thank you for your comments. Did you want to come back, Councillor Lloyd?
Yeah, just on a couple of things. I mean, everything that Councillor Evans mentioned is in the report. The long-term lease agreement is on page 18, 35 years. You know, serving the community is serving currently 11 teams, between 100 and 200 players from all over the borough, which answers one of Councillor Hancock's questions. If Councillor Evans reads 5.5, it doesn't stop, as he said, at regenerate the town centre. The actual statement there is Council's priorities to regenerate the town centre and improve leisure facilities. So it's playing with words. Leisure facilities are there. And in the next one, the next 5.2, it does state we'll use it for the capital programme. Well, one of the items, the big growth items on the capital programme that we'll be talking about in closed session later, is the Bedworth swimming pool, and that is a capital programme priority. So hopefully some of that money, not just from Bedworth but also from Nuneaton, monies will have to be used to support that capital programme. So it's not about just spending money in Nuneaton, it's about spreading that value across the whole borough. On Bedworth Warriors, it's been brought about that again, playing with words. Bedworth Warriors approached me, and that fact, I had to give them a card and say, I do apologise, I can't talk to you at the moment because I've had a few too many sherbets. And it was at a rugby match where they approached me. So the young lady came back to me the following week, and we've been in discussions with Bedworth Warriors for around about the same period, trying to find them a pitch. And as he's quite right, Kevin Hollis has found an area that they could play at the Eckley. So we looked at various places, Kersley, Ash Green. In that fact, I mentioned that at the time when they were talking to me, because I was in a pub just round the corner from there. So, you know, we have been talking to Bedworth Warriors. Kevin is involved with Bedworth Warriors. You know, we'd like to have these facilities for all our, you know, football organisations, etc. But we have to do them one at a time. And unfortunately for Bedworth Eagles, they had proposals that were far advanced to any of the proposals we would have received. So I commend the officers for chasing this on. I think it's an excellent job that's been done. I know Bill's been involved in the fringes of this, and you know, it's a great thing, and hopefully we can repeat it for other teams. That's what we're about.
Yeah, I'd like to follow on from the comments in regard to working with the community to create better facilities, and this seems to me at the heart of this proposal. I well remember as a youngster walking past this site. It is not the most glamorous of sites at the moment, and I think this sort of proposal is going to improve that. And indeed, we are unashamed as a council that we invest heavily in leisure facilities, and that is because compared to many areas in Warwickshire, we do suffer higher health inequalities, and so everything we can do to encourage people to enjoy active pastimes is something I would support. Are there any other comments? Anything officers need to come back with? No? Okay, the recommendations are then as printed. Are those agreed?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. We're then coming on to recommendation 8A. The relevant scrutiny chair is unable to be with us tonight. The report is there, and the recommendation is as printed on the agenda. Front. which is the panel resolved that the recommendation be made to the portfolio holder for housing and communities that a full-time empty homes officer be appointed. I have one speaker on this, and that's Councillor Condon.
Thank you very much, Chair. I actually put empty homes on the agenda of the scrutiny panel, and it was actually me that recommended this motion, which got cross-party support. Empty homes are a massive wasted resource. Most of them are only empty for a very short while. We have about 1,500 to 2,000 empty at any one time. Over half just get empty for a few months and then they get sold. We have a few hundred that are empty for many, many months, and probably 100 or 200 that are empty for many, many years. The empty homes officer we had did a marvellous job. When he was full-time, he managed to get 40 homes back into use in a year. We currently have a part-time empty homes officer that's getting about 20 empty homes back into use. And it's real win-win for absolutely everyone to help people get homes back into use. We provide small loans, we provide advice, and in return, we actually get more homes in the borough. And the government pays us a new homes bonus if we get less long-term empty homes. But it also takes away some of our new homes bonus if we have more empty homes. And next week, the Cabinet paper for the budget will say we've lost 7 homes worth of new homes bonus because we've got 7 more long-term empties this year than last. So an empty homes officer will actually make a positive difference not only to our homeless in the borough but also to the council's bottom line, because getting those homes back into use gives us more new homes. It is a win-win for absolutely everyone, and also a win for the people who have empty homes that just don't have the motivation or the skill or maybe the funding to actually do that bit of work to get them on the market, get them rented out or get them sold on. So I cannot see why we don't do this. The empty homes is one of the really good things we do as a council. The need is desperately there, and one full-time post is about the right type of capacity. You obviously can't have an infinite amount of empty homes officers because obviously a lot of empty homes aren't receptive to having help. But one officer would get 40, hopefully 50 empty homes back into use. Thank you.
Thank you. Any points of clarification, Councillor Condon? Thank you very much. Chris, can I?
Yeah, well, the information will be noted that's identified in the recommendations, but I would like to say that this Borough Council is doing exceptionally well as it is, and anybody that reads the report will see the council has a target of returning 12 long-term empty properties per year. For this financial year, we've done 24. For this financial year, we've had a target exceeded again with 20 long-term empty properties being returned. We also do offer the grant to people that have properties, so they don't really need the skills and that. So we're offering the grants, but we can't force people to take the grants. We're also working with Cornerstone, and hoping Cornerstone will take some of the long-term empty properties if the owner wishes to sell them. But again, we can't make the owners sell them. So it's for the owners to come to the council, and we're doing exceedingly well. So I'm pleased with how our empty officers doing, our empty property officers doing. I'm more than happy, but I will consider what has been put forward.
So you're prepared as the Cabinet member to look into this matter further?
Consider.
Is that then agreed
Yes.
by Cabinet?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Item B then, this is where, again, apologies from the relevant Cabinet member, I believe he's not well. The panel resolved that a recommendation be made to the portfolio holder for planning, development and health that if possible the communications team create a video explaining how to navigate and use, I presume, the system. I do have 2 speakers on this. Firstly, Councillor Condon.
Thank you, Chair. I feel ashamed to actually be the first speaker because Kyle actually recommended that we actually produce a video. But I fully support that because I think actually videoing something, a 3-minute YouTube video, does actually show how you go through the process. And as it's currently set out, there are a few strange oddities in our web portal for planning applications. For example, you can get the weekly list up and it tells you what applications have gone in this list, but you then can't click on any of them. So you have to remember what the number is and then type it into the other node on the form to search for under planning number. And if you miss a 0 out, it won't find it. So having a little video that just goes through and explains the idiosyncrasies of our system, or maybe actually sorting some of these idiosyncrasies, would be useful. I don't think it's a very big ask, and I think it would actually help people engage with our planning system so they actually know how to find a planning application that's in their street or one that's nearby, and also how to download the documents, because there's a few strange things about you click and you can only download one document at a time. So I fully support this recommendation, and I do hope we sort out some of the strange things to make the video less needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any points of clarification? Thank you. Oh, sorry, there is one. Sorry, Councillor Condon. Oh, sorry.
No, there isn't.
I do apologise. I'm mistaken. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Conticoy is right. I proposed this as a recommendation at the last internal panel. I'm thankful to all those members that voted in favour of it, which was all the people present. The reason I proposed this was because when the new system was introduced before Christmas, I had a lot of residents, 18 in fact, who contacted me by phone and by email to inform me that they were struggling to navigate around the new system. And I have to say, when I started to use it myself as a millennial who sort of grew up around technology, I also struggled to use it. Now I have to say, over the last 2 months, there have been changes and it has improved significantly. I understand why we've had to go over to the new website. Obviously, the council would face heavy fines from the ICO if we didn't comply with GDPR legislation. And for when it comes to, putting on old applications from, pre-2010, I wouldn't expect the planning department to do that. You probably have to get about 5 officers from the council to spend about 12 months to do that. I'm not going to ask you to do that, but we do need to make sure that for those heavy planning applications related to the borough plan and things like that, we do have the historic documents, layouts, etc. on the portal. Now, I think the whole process of how this worked was just completely flawed. What we did is we just launched this new website despite the fact it wasn't fully operational. What we should have done is we should have ensured that the website was set up fully and then moved over to the new website. I think about the YouTube video, the only reason I made it as a recommendation to internal OSP was because at the last full council meeting, Councillor Phillips said, and I quote, "There is no need for a YouTube video." Well, I think there is. And it's actually the standard in local government. When you look at other councils' websites, they do have videos. The civil service use it a lot. I don't think it's a big ask. I don't think it's going to take a lot of resource or time for an officer to do it. We must have an intern somewhere in the communications or marketing department. It would probably take them no longer than a week to do it. So, I fully support the recommendation in front of us and hope you can support it.
Thank you. Any points of clarification?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I can hand over to Councillor Phillips, but would advise that our communications team is actually a very small team.
Yeah.
But I will hand over to Councillor Phillips.
Well, I admit there were teething problems to start with, but I'm really pleased that the Councillor Evans has quoted, and I quote, "It's running better now." So I'm really pleased about that. However, to be fair to them, I will reconsider looking at a YouTube video and discuss it with relevant people and communications team. Chair.
Okay, we all happy with that? Okay, thank you then. That will be considered, see if it's possible, etc. There are know any other items of business, unless I'm told there are. No. I do then move the exclusion of the public and press as per the relevant local government act 1972. Can I thank you, Claire, for coming along. Is that agreed that we move into
Yes.
private session?
You're not allowed to leave.